Welcome to Last Week in Finance. Today is August 16 of 2020 and let's start with the S&P 500. It's a little bit up, 0.64%, keeps its bullish tendency. Let's see how long it's gonna keep up. I'm not sure it's gonna be for a very long time. When it's going down, it's gonna go way down. Gold make a contraction this week, almost 5%. It's under 2000. It's right now in $1,944 the ounce of gold. Silver went even further down, went 6.5%. The DXY dollar index did a little bit of backward trend. It's right now in 93 points. Go back this week 0.36%. And Bitcoin, oh, slightly up from last week. Right now it's $11,861 for a Bitcoin. Well, this week I wanted to talk about something different. Everybody's talking that the 21st century is going to be China's century. And sure, China has had a very impressive economic growth in the past few decades, and let's be clear, then they have been doing many things very well for a communist dictatorship. I mean, but it's still something that you can look the other way. They have applied a very efficient supply chain, good prices, efficiency. They're now investing in emerging markets like Africa, like Western Europe. They're going with this Belt Road initiative. They're supposed to connect the supply chains around the world, of course, with the center in China. The middle class is developing very fast. Now is a huge market, a huge consumer market for that middle class. Their population right now is 1.4 billion people, and these people are seeing increase their spending power, their purchasing power, and and I mean that is good news for them. And they're saying that they will surpass the US as the main economic and political powerhouse around the world. But I don't buy that. And why? Because it's a very simple thing. It's a very human nature thing. China is not sexy. China is not cultivating their. Let's be honest. No, nobody wants to be a Chinese. I mean, soft power is something that is very important and nobody's talking about. I know the US has a lot of issues right now, has a lot of problems, and that was before COVID. But the thing is, US has a lot of creativity, has a lot of inventions, has a lot of creative products they export in a daily basis. And I'm not talking about, these big Silicon Valley projects. I'm talking about small things like TV series, talking about music, talking about, those reality shows that actually are very bizarre and but they're very funny. I mean, the main export of the US is their lifestyle. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a nice lifestyle. having the suburban house, the the family, the fun and laughter, their barbecues, the football games. I mean, you can deny that's appealing, and people around the world watch that and they want to live that life. Most people do. In China, it doesn't do that. I mean, China has a lot of censorship, a lot of creative restrictions on his population. Let's be honest, we know a lot of China's economic power, but we actually don't know how the average Chinese people live, and it's not sexy. I mean, if watching outside in, you you don't want to be Chinese. You don't want to live the Chinese dream. You want to live the American dream. And I know it sounds a little bit idealistic, but it's true. You and China doesn't have that power. I mean, the main goal of the central government in China is to control the power forever. And in order to do that, they censorship a lot of possible creative things that are happening in China. See what happened in Hong Kong last year. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to. It's not appealing. It the rest of the world is watching that, and it's not watching it with very good eyes. In China, their main their main rival in the next decade is in the United States. It's India, and that's the place that we should be looking upon in the next decade because they have a lot of population. They also are having a very recognizable economic growth. But most important, India is not a country that repress his people. There's a lot of content creation over there. It's a lot of creative work. They have Bollywood, which is the Indian equivalent of Hollywood, and they're exporting their movies, their shows, their music, their soap operas, which from people that know about that seems to be very, very good, very great quality content. And America still has that. I know it's silly to talk about Avengers of Taylor Swift music, but that thing reaches to people, and that's what creates a market. That's what creates products. That's what drives the economy through, and not just that soft power. I mean, still things like the fidget spinner or a baseball game. Those small things create huge markets, and not only huge markets, reach people around the world and influence them into making decisions about their future, about their finance, about their careers, about their travel, about how they rearrange their lives in order to go further in the future. And China doesn't have that. I mean, this is America's game to lose. If America and whoever is watching this, you know, America is, I mean, the government and the politics in America, they're not doing the good thing with this pandemic. They're printing money. They're, I mean, it's socialist like what they're doing with the handling of this pandemic. And after the pandemic, they're gonna do what they always do. They're gonna raise taxes. They're gonna print money. They're gonna bail out their companies, and if if they don't do something very very stupid, which I know the politics in the U.S. like to do very stupid things. I mean, both Democrats and Republicans, if they keep their thing together and not don't mess it up. Don't mess the whole thing up. In America, there's a lot of entrepreneurship. There's a lot of creative things, not only business wise, but culture wise. And America's gonna still support that. It's gonna still sell that to the rest of the world. And if they don't mess that up, the whole thing, I mean, the long term, I believe the America will keep the first place in the world as of the most watched country, the most inspirational country in the world, and I hope it happens. I mean, it's a good place. It's a good place, and it's a beacon of hope, and it's a beacon of culture. And I hope that again it will be an economic beacon of hope. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm sorry, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.